First off, I want to thank anybody viewing. I know it's an interesting time in the world, and we're obviously doing a socially distanced webinar here. And if you can't tell already, me and Will are not in the same room, but I think we should have things go off without a hitch. So yeah,
I just want to say I see you at a distance here. No, I'm just
kidding. Exactly. I'm just hanging out in the blue ether that I live in right now. Apparently. Yeah. So obviously, guys, this topic is how to get your employees ready for the end of the year. I think it's an important time to really take stock of where you're at as a company, take stock of what you're doing with employees, and making sure that essentially all your ducks are in a row, so that for the end of that year or the beginning of that new year, you're really kind of ready to hit the ground running. So first off, I want to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Mickey Pike. I'm a corporate development specialist at Buildertrend, and my team is really dedicated to helping our builders kind of get access to the products and services maybe outside of what Buildertrend does as our core features, in order to kind of extend that power of Buildertrend and really help them be better, not only builders and contractors, but better business owners. So that's really my role, and I'll allow Will here from Gusto to introduce himself and maybe give a little bit of background on Gusto.
Yeah, good to be in front of everyone. I'm Will Lopez, head of Gusto's accountant community. So I came to Gusto about 16 months ago, been in public accounting my entire career and serving small businesses my entire career. Prior to coming to Gusto, I owned an accounting firm for about 7-8 years, did a lot of consulting for small businesses, helped them out, setting up their processes, really leaning in, using a lot of modern technology to make it happen. We had clients all over the country and 3 continents as well. So over here on the other side, to help my peers do the same thing, really help and empower small businesses because they need it a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think just to kind of reiterate, why Buildertrend had interest in Gusto, like I mentioned, our team is really focused on that cliche of helping our customers extend the power of Buildertrend. And Buildertrend is really great, obviously, at managing the project related aspects of running a contracting or a home building business. But there's things that we just naturally don't touch. And a lot of those things are still important to, making sure projects are delivered on time and financials are taken care of. And that's where HR, benefits, payroll comes in. So from our perspective, we really took a look at the market and said, who's out there, who's doing an amazing job of, serving small to medium sized businesses with a product or service that really helps them manage that non-project related aspect of running a contracting business. And Gusto is one that continually came up. So not only from Buildertrend customers, but just as we did research in the market, you guys are really, a leader in this space, and one that has really helped simplify and streamline the process of payroll and HR and benefits, which can be a huge pain point and a little bit of a black hole for some people, a little bit intimidating. So not only that, you guys have excellent customer service, and as a company that prides itself on great customer service and being there for our customers, it was important to find a partner that would do the same. So that's really why Gusto and Buildertrend have kind of decided to team up. We think, what you guys do and what we do complement each other really well. And down the line, we're going to have an integration in place, which will really kind of streamline some of that process for shared clients, where time tracking and things like that will easily kind of migrate over to Gusto's payroll platform, which is super, super simple to use. So just a little background on who Gusto is and why Buildertrend was interested, and why we think it's going to be a great opportunity to help kind of take some of the pain away from managing these businesses that you guys manage. So
hey, happy to be here.
Yeah, without further ado, let's just kind of dive right in. So this is going to be kind of a checklist style format. We wanted to make it simple so that you can kind of just run through and follow the steps of what you need to do to prepare your employees for the end of the year. So first and foremost, this is kind of a high level overview of what we'll be talking about. Firstly, verifying employee data, verifying employee benefit information if you are one of those companies that is fortunate enough to offer benefits to your employees, verifying contractor information. So it's obviously super common in the space to have both salaried employees, both hourly employees, and possibly some 1099 contractors as well. And there's just a couple of end of year extras and some tips on how to really make sure that you're going to hit 2021 on the best foot. So general overview there. First up, verifying employee data. Will, I'll let you kind of take it away and kind of give the spiel.
Yeah, well, I've owned a business for quite a long time, worked with a lot of small business owners for quite a long time. And, you want to verify your employee data. And generally speaking, this is the easiest thing to do. It's like a quick win in somebody's mind, especially when payroll's not your comfort zone, right? And you're like, wow, you're looking at something like payroll or end of year or, taking care of teams, and you think of all the responsibilities that go along with it. But the very easy thing that you can do is just verify their details. I mean, normally when employees are hired, they fill out that W-4, you have access to their full legal name, their full legal address, their social security number. And so one of the great checklists to just get out of the way in times like this is just when the W-2 becomes available, just go through, double check everything, verify everything. You have access to everything if anything has changed. On the W-2 that looks like, if somebody got married, let's say mid-year, and their name has changed, you may want to remember those kind of details and reach out to them, just kind of confirm. But overall, the W-4, the I-9, these forms that employees use to onboard and get hired at a company, you can just take that information, compare it to the end of year documents, and you're pretty much in business. It's pretty straightforward. Once again, easy win, easy to do, and just more administratively tedious, right?
Yep.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. It's probably something that seems super simple, but a small hiccup can probably turn into quite
Yep.
a pebble in the road for you. And definitely one of those things that probably seems pretty commonplace, and seems pretty simple, but that name change, that address change,
Yep.
one number off the social security number can create some headaches down the line. So it's kind of, managing those small things so you don't have a big thing down the road, I imagine is really, really important.
Yeah. And also what's good, and obviously this is why Buildertrend and Gusto are partnering together and stuff like that, but it's, we've created solutions that automate this collection point, right? Like give us your full legal name, give us your full address, give us your social. And even when you need to go back out and fetch those updated details, you could do all of that through Gusto. So, for the most part, I think a lot of people do this specific process very manually. And if you're in that position, that's okay. You'll have to grind through it a little bit, but then the moment you're out of it, adopt some software that really automates this and automates that onboarding and hiring process, because, it's not, the early 2000s or anything like that. We have all the technology in the world to get this right.
Yep.
And reduce the stress, giving your company peace of mind.
Definitely. And I think, one of the things that Buildertrend specifically loves about Gusto is how you guys simplify all this. I think obviously, technology is really important, and that's not, a technology that administers payroll, benefits, HR. Those things have existed, but never in a way that's clean, simple, and easy to use as well as Gusto is. So
Yep.
I think it's definitely an important note to hit that. Gusto will definitely keep those people that are running the back end operations of your company a lot happier than they may be doing it all manually that Gusto automates. So
Yep.
That next piece, verifying employee benefit information. So like I mentioned, if you're a company that offers benefits or is looking into offering benefits, Gusto can help with that as well. But yeah, we'll take it away on that side too.
Yeah, verifying employee benefits is probably one of the areas that companies struggle with the most, right? And it's the one that is very state specific. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's also a lot of commitment and mistakes that one could happen with all of this. And so when you're just looking at benefits as a whole, there is a lot of responsibility with it. Now, with that said, it's not like you're out in the dark when it comes to things like Gusto, because Gusto actually automates all of this stuff for you.
Yep.
And I'll tell you a couple, catches and watch outs. But when you're looking at benefits and end of year and all that kind of stuff, you'll want to just confirm all those details, right? Whether the retirement plan is eligible, confirm, because right now it's like open enrollment, right? So confirm health benefits, right? Imputed wages that go along with it, confirm those fringe benefits, review your policies. So if you don't have an employee handbook, that's always a great first place to start, right? Employee handbook. And in the employee handbook, you'll call out these things like sick time, vacation time, deferred compensation, all this kind of stuff, and then the rules that are applied to your business. So Gusto can help you through the HR stuff, create those handbooks, create those time policies, and even track them. Yep. And so when you look at benefits as a whole, and you're trying to verify them, not only do you want to confirm all this eligible stuff, but you also want to make decisions right now that's going to set your team up for success in 2021. And there's actually 3 categories that I like to drop benefits into. And we call it no cost, low cost, premium benefits. And there's all sorts of things in those 3 buckets that you can utilize for your employees,
Yeah.
and for your team and for your company. Obviously, the more premium something is, the more onerous it is to manage.
Right.
But with something like Gusto, you could opt into those premium things and it really be easy to manage. The no cost obviously really resonates for employees at, let's say, lower wages. The low cost can really resonate for companies who are trying to watch their budget, but also provide their team the resources and the benefits that they need. So based on your scenario, you can just basically go and slide up and down that no cost, low cost, premium benefits spectrum, and you'll be able to make the right decision.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I think, something that's interesting is, prior to my time in corporate development at Buildertrend, I spent a little over 2 years on our customer success floor, talking to small business owners every single day, training them on the platform. And I think one thing that Gusto brings that they may not have in place now is almost like a formalization to some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've talked to people about, how do you enter time off into Buildertrend's calendars, or how do you manage some of those things that come with having people in your business. And a lot of times when I would talk to them, they didn't have a formalized way to organize all of this. And it was more of just, well, yeah, we have time off. People just, submit it. However, they send me a text, tell me they're not coming. But I think really creating processes and systems around this is going to save you so much time and headache on the back end. That another thing that kind of seems maybe small, but definitely pays dividends in the future. So super important stuff there as well.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, that's absolutely correct. Is approaching benefits, like thinking about like retirement planning, health benefits, fringe, sick time, vacation time. There are a million and one ways to skin this cat, right? And people could literally track time on a napkin. They can track time on a spreadsheet. They can track time in Gusto. And to your point, they're, as far as like broad adoption of a specific formal structure or process really doesn't exist. So, Gusto approaches this specific category very opinionatedly to say, hey, we are going to make sure that we safeguard your processes, safeguard your teams, to ensure that when your team is eligible or not eligible or opting in or opting out, the processes that happen prior to that, in the midst of that, and post that are all taken care of. My background actually is, so I used to be a financial statement auditor. I used to audit 401k plans, which is not fun to do, but it's a lot of interesting analysis on company processes. The amount of the landslide of administrative work that happens around a 401k is really not for the faint of heart. And through Gusto, so I actually, from my prior company, launched 401k through Gusto, through their guideline partnership. And the administrative work that I knew was around 401k, which is why it took me so long to even say yes to 401k, because I was like, I know this, like, this is not going to be fun. Yeah, I've seen this before. It actually was super easy. They sent all the eligibility criteria to your team. They automate those emails. They easily onboard them. They help them pick their plans. All that administrative nightmare that came with a 401k, even though a 401k is a great time to celebrate something like that, Gusto was able to really remove all the burden. And when you're getting yourself into health benefits and benefit information, those mistakes that can happen around just not automation, which is like, you let an employee go, but you're still paying their health premiums for the next 6 months because you forgot to terminate it. Those are the safety mechanisms that Gusto has created. So that way you don't really have to worry.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome stuff. I think, whether you're a contractor or a small business that feels maybe you're not big enough to offer benefits, or maybe you just don't know where to start because of that administrative burden that you may perceive is there, I think Gusto is a great place to start. They've got the resources both on their website. They've also got experts that you can reach out and talk to. They can definitely help you get that spun up, or at least investigate whether or not it's something that you guys can tackle. And I know in the contracting home building business, it's an interesting labor market, and sometimes offering even some small benefits is enough to really help with both recruiting and retainage of employees. So I think this is an area that if you're not looking at benefits yet, or you have in the past for various reasons, I think through Gusto, it's a great opportunity for you to maybe take a second look and maybe see that with Gusto, it's not as daunting as it may seem on its face. So
Absolutely.
next, let's talk about verifying contractor information. So if you're a business that uses 1099 employees or uses contractors, definitely want to make sure that we get those taken care of as well towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so very similar to the W-2 work, right? Where you go and check your employee's name, address, identification number, social security number. It's the same behavior and activity around 1099s. The form in particular that contractors complete is that form W-9. So
Yeah.
it's that taxpayer request form, and getting all those specific details. So this one actually, this specific category, which is really interesting. Not a lot of people have the greatest rigor as the rigor that's around W-2 employees, right? And what I mean by that is you may work with a contractor on a handshake, and you're like, all right, you're in business, and you start paying them, like, what's your first name? What's your last name? Great. I'll start cutting a check. And you may not actually go through the motions like you have to with employees to say, here is the actual legal tax document that I need you to complete in order to
Right.
have this information on file. So 1099s has obviously like a plethora of experiences as far as capturing that data, not capturing that data. So what you really want to do is do it right now. If you haven't collected their form W-9, reach out to them, say, hey, complete a form W-9 before the year closes. So when the year closes, I have your legal name, legal address, your social security number, or your corporate information, and I can file that 1099 for you on time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, very important stuff. I think, once again, small slip ups create bigger problems down the road. So if we can get ahead of it now, you're always going to be in a better spot.
Yep, absolutely.
And on to the end of year extras. So obviously these are just kind of those extra, loose ends that you may have in your business, or things that you might want to look into if you're not doing now, but take it away.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not been an easy year for anybody, right?
Yeah.
And you may be looking at your teams saying, they've worked really, really hard. I'm going to kick them a bonus,
Yep.
right? Like, I know times are tough. Businesses are closing. The economy is like, there's this whiplash of like opening up, closing down, opening up, closing down. And if you're looking to at least say, hey, thank you so much to team members, this is a great time to grant those year-end bonuses, give them a pat on the back, show them that you appreciate them, and get that out of the way and incorporate it into their form W-2 because you're running it through payroll. One thing that I've been telling people this year, I'm a very progressive accountant that basically, I ran my practice online. I used all sorts of online tools. I promoted those tools to my clients. I kept them, recession proof, remote resilient, all those kind of things.
Right.
And a recommendation, I guess, from us to all of you who are watching is just become remote ready to stay resilient. If there's just one thing that 2020 has taught us, is that scrambling at the last second to make sales remotely, support a team remotely, to do anything remotely. I mean, that is the theme of 2020. And so, now is the time to really, what I would say, future-proof your processes, future-proof your technology, future-proof, the resiliency of your business. Because if we continue to open up, close down, and you're not remote ready for those situations from a sales perspective, from an administrative perspective, from a team support perspective, you've got to do that now. And hopefully there are no more closes, but you just never know. And it doesn't really matter when you're remote ready. Right. And then ultimately just appreciate your team, right? Give them those bonuses, give them a nice kick, and try to show them how much you appreciate their support, because it has been a rough year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, speaking from the Buildertrend side of things, obviously we aren't classified probably these days as much of a small business, but watching our organization go from 500 and something people all in one office to almost overnight, all of us being at home was something that we pulled off because of great team members and great organization. But I know that through that process, as a company corporately, we learned kind of how do we approach this in the future? How do we future proof, as you say, in case these things continue, or in case God forbid we we close down and open up again. I think now that we've got a system around it and we've thought through this and thought ahead, we're all going to be just better off. So, that's a anecdote from a bigger business, but I think it still applies, like you mentioned, to these small to medium sized businesses. So, yeah, I think it's just really the topic here is thinking ahead, getting ready for that end of year and preparing yourself for 2021 or that next year to come, and making sure you hit the ground running and off on a great foot. So, definitely want to thank you, Will, for attending and sharing some insights with us. Thank you guys, anyone out there who's watching. If you guys are not a Gusto customer, if you haven't used Gusto or haven't heard of Gusto, definitely urge you to check them out. You can find them at gusto.com. They will be featured in the Buildertrend marketplace here shortly. Probably by the time this airs, they will definitely be in there. Like I mentioned before, we do have an integration with Gusto on the way to kind of streamline that payroll process. And just a little benefit to you as a Buildertrend customer. If you sign up with Gusto through Buildertrend, you will get an extended free trial as well. So if you are kind of thinking about switching payroll providers, you're not quite certain yet, or you want to take a look, know that you have that peace of mind to really kind of try Gusto out for a little bit. I promise you're going to love it, and it's going to definitely make your life easier when it comes to that payroll and HR side of things. That difficult part of running a small to medium business. So once again, I want to thank Will, want to thank Gusto for attending. And if you guys have any questions about Gusto, feel free to reach out to any of your customer service reps at Buildertrend, or of course you can reach out to Gusto as well. They'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Will.
Thank you, Mickey.